Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
What's up? What's up? How you doing, everybody? Welcome to the Narrative Podcast. Welcome, family. Peace, family. The Narrative Podcast is the home for original people peace, original people reciprocity, and original people culture. And I am your host, Halsey Allen. Welcome to the Narrative Podcast. So just pardon me if I sound like I'm yelling. I review my episodes and my last few kind of sound muffled. So I'm working on trying to project better. I don't know if it's the microphone I'm using or it's just me. I don't know. But I'm going to try to speak really loudly. So like when I share it back to the social, you know, it doesn't sound like I'm whispering. It sounded like, remember like Emil from Rockefeller? Like, yeah, she would spit the hardest bars, but it sounded like she was whispering. But anyway, welcome to the Narrative Podcast. So all my narrators, they already know the demonstration. They already know what the Narrative Podcast is all about. But for everybody else unfamiliar with me or my podcast, I'm going to walk you through all the nuances about the podcast before diving into the content, as I do all the time for those that, listen on a regular basis. But before going into that, I just want to take a special time to acknowledge a young brother. I kind of got it just popped up in my feed recently today. Just, I guess this is going to be an appreciation post to a young brother by the name of Ralph Yarl. Yes, Andrew was shot on April 13th, our brother Ralph was shot on April 13th by an elderly white man by the name of Andrew Daniel Lester. And since then, he's been granted an award, a highly prestigious award, and it's not the first time that he received one. He's just recently been awarded with playing All-State for the city of Kansas and band. He's been selected to play the second chair bass, clarinet for Missouri's All-State band. He also plays a saxophone, and he basically used it as a healing component to help him get over his music as an outlet to get over that trauma of being shot and nearly unalived. So the older white gentleman shot him in the head. For those that don't remember, like the extent of his injury, and age isn't an excuse. He's 84 years old. He knew exactly what he was doing, but he failed miserably, sir. That's what we always got to keep in our rear view. That when elderly white people do stuff to us, they're coming from an era where they could do stuff to us and it was acceptable and it was, they can get away with it, but they can't get away with it anymore. So he failed miserably, sir. He went on to receive prestigious honors, and not only that, he also got a internship for engineering. So he's doing STEM work now, and he's going to plans to go to a HBCU to study engineering. So, I definitely think his accomplishment needs to be celebrated. And let's clap it up for our young brother, Ralph Yarl. Yeah, that was just like back in April when that happened. April of last year. So without any further ado, here we go, diving into the synopsis of the Narrative Podcast. Let's start at the top, Tippy, the name. I named my podcast the Narrative Podcast because I don't like the false narrative that the media portrays about original people and original people culture. So what I want to do is design a platform where I'm highlighting our successes, playing up our strengths, and focusing the lens on our people and our culture through a positive light. Whereas the media, they intentionally misrepresent our people and our culture and intentionally alter and distort our images and our likenesses to, earn a profit and also to push agendas. So, yeah, that's primarily why I'm doing this podcast, is to, use it to fight against these negative stigmas and stereotypes that the media places over our people. I also want to bring awareness to the listening audience and encourage them to share positive frames of reference about our people and our culture on whatever platform that they occupy. As a matter of fact, that's a perfect segue to my tagline. The Narrative Podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original culture. How do I destroy the negative stereotypes about our people and our culture? By providing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. Hence the title, The Narrative Podcast. So yeah, that's basically what I want to impress upon my listening audience. I want to bring awareness of why it's important to share, utilize your platforms wisely to share positive frames about reference about our people and our culture. Because people outside of our culture, all they're given to them is these warped, distorted, images, these, warped, distorted views about our people and our culture. Like I said, the media goes out of their way to intentionally play up and propagate all these negative stereotypes and stigmas about our people and our culture. So, like, people outside of our culture, all they're given to them is like negative stereotypes. It's in movies, it's in television, it's in the music, it's in books, magazines, on the radio. Negative. That's all they're, given to them as a frame of reference about our people and our culture. So, like, it's not entirely just about money. It's because, the media is ran by the powers that be. Who are the powers that be? The higher echelon, the elite class Um, you know, the first class, elite class, basically wealthy white people that control the resources here in America and abroad. And the reason why they do that is to, help sustain their image. They use the media to, warp and corrupt the minds of the masses by feeding them false information. They do it to everybody. And the reason why they do that is because they want to be at the top of the pyramid. And how do they stay at the top of the pyramid? They want to project this image of refined culture and, sophistication and class. And the way they do that is to make everyone else appear the total opposite of that when compared to them. So they want to make everybody, go out of their way to make everybody seem unintelligent. They want to go out of their way to make everybody that doesn't, earn six figures or better seem to be, degenerate in morals, low in intelligence, and prone to, violence and degeneracy. So like I said, they do it to everybody, but they do it to our people the most because, our people, they fear our people the most. We're the biggest threat to them. We threaten their very existence. We threaten their livelihood. We're a constant reminder to them of who they really are. You see, they know they're aware of their past and they're aware of ours. They're aware of how they came into power, how they acquired their financial wealth and resources. And basically they stole it from us. And they know it. And they don't ever want the balance of power to shift again. They're on top and they want to stay on top by any means necessary. They don't, their biggest fear is that, that we would start, acting like we know our history too, and reclaim everything that they stole from us and do to them what they've done and what they're currently doing to us. But it's an ill-gotten fear because that's not who we are as a people. We don't have a history of rape. We don't have a history of pillaging, plundering, claiming things as ours that's not ours. We don't have a history of lying, saying we invented things that we didn't invent, saying we discovered things that we did not discover. We've stolen nothing from anybody. Our existence on the globe, everywhere we've ever existed, all over the planet, all we ever bought was enlightenment, elevation, and culture. We've never taken anything from anybody. We've never forced our ideas, our beliefs, and our value systems on anybody. We never tried to colonize any lands. All we ever did is spread love. And they know that, and, it bothers them. So it's basically they do that because they feel guilty and they're afraid that, we're going to usurp their power. But anyway, so brings me to the next point of the Narrator podcast. On this platform, I call my target listening audience my narrators. I call my target listening my audience my narrators because, we're living in the digital information era. We walk around with these little computers in our pockets. We have instant access to information. We share things online. We compile and cultivate data and learn things and network online. And, living in this digital information age that we live in, we all have the unique privilege of, being whatever we want to be online. So we can tell or narrate our own stories. We can just project whatever perception, or we can project whatever image that we want people to perceive us as, and that will be the truth. Now, it's a double-edged sword, though, but because, these Fortune 500 companies, that's how they collect data and information and create products to accommodate, these trends and fads. So, like I said, the media is ran by a horrible organization with, a horrible, wicked agenda. But at the end of the day, it's all about supply and demand. And that's the first rule of business. And this is why, when it comes to our people, we're portrayed like that. It's degeneracy is $1 billion, I would say even $1 trillion a year business. And, the media is creating degeneracy for our people. And we help them, we feed the machine by, playing into these negative stereotypes and stigmas that they place over us by, regurgitating those images, those warped, distorted images of our people and our culture online, by playing into the gang culture, by playing into the pimp culture, the whore culture, the drug culture, on the using end and on the dealing end. So that's what I mean when I say by calling our people, or calling my listening audience my narrators. We can't, we can't help how people perceive us. When somebody got their mind made up about you, there's nothing you can do to, alter their mind. You can't change their mind. But what you can do is you can control, what you're posting. You can't control what the media is posting, but you can control what you're posting. You can make, yourself be the hero on whatever platform that you occupy, instead of being the villain, as the media portrays us out to be. So, it's not the end-all, be-all solution, but it is a solution. And so that's, primarily what I want people to get from my content, if nothing else, is the importance of, why it's important to share positive content about our people and our culture, and, and encourage other people to do the same. This platform isn't about caring what people outside of our culture think about us. It's not, I'm not here trying to seek validation from people outside of our culture. I'm not even trying to enlighten or educate people outside of our culture about our people and our culture. This space is just here for, if you're going to tell our story correctly, tell it from the perspective of who we truly are as a people, and who are we as a people truly. We're kings and queens, gods and goddesses of the universe, and that's the narrative that should constantly be pushed towards the front, when we're speaking about our people and our culture. Which brings me to my next point. Like, I've already made several points. On this platform, I refer to our people as original people. And the reason why I feel or the need to refer to our people as original people is because I feel for two reasons. Number one, it's historically accurate. Why is it historically accurate? Because we were and are the original people of this planet. There's not one single area of the globe that we haven't traveled to or occupied. Our existence on this planet predates all tablets, all scrolls, all religious tract, all, calendars, all time charts and graphs. Like, we was here before anything was here. Our existence, predates the Bible, predates the Quran, predates, the Dead Sea Scrolls, predates hieroglyphics, predates everything. And contrary to all unpopular belief, we didn't evolve from monkeys. We wasn't dwelling in caves using prehistoric weapons and using prehistoric tools. We wasn't covered in excessive body hair. We was fully sentient, standing fully erect. We've always, since the beginning, been a highly civilized, advanced people. Building cities, building citadels, building infrastructures. From the very beginning, we created religion. We created spirituality. Everything comes back from us. We invented pretty much every modern day convenience you can think of, but got a credit for none of it. And then another thing to that point, why I refer to our people as original people, like I said, we was on every single corner of the globe. The false narrative that keeps on getting, recycled is that our history began with slavery. They keep on just trying to attach slavery to our people. So while it was a part of our past, there's many lies being told about slavery. First and foremost, the biggest lie is that we all descended from slaves, that we all were born into slavery, especially here in the Americas. We was already here. We was already on every single corner of the globe you can think about. And we did not get there via slave boats. We already was just, aboriginally, indigenously located there. Even like, the European countries. We was able to survive the cold because we could, do a process called depigmentation. So that's, we got to stop that false narrative. While slavery was a part of our culture, our culture did not begin with slavery. We was kings and queens, gods and goddesses. We was ruling. It was everywhere. And then on the unity side of it, because like I just said, we occupied every single corner of the globe. There's many different types of us, hailing from different land masses, referring to ourselves as different things, different titles. Like this person to say they from Ghana, this person say they Nigerian, this person say I'm Jamaican, I'm Haitian, I'm Portuguese, I'm Brazilian, I'm Cuban, or no, they like to throw the Afro in there. We the original people, but they always want to, in these Latin-speaking countries, that's really where we was deeply rooted. They always want to throw that Afro, Latino, Afro-Cuban, Afro-Dominican, you know what I mean? But anyway, yeah, it was everywhere, on Asia, every single part of Asia, down under, Canada, Germany. But my point is there's many different types of us, hailing from different land masses, speaking different languages, having different religious and spiritual beliefs. But the one thing that we all have in common as a people is we possess the matter of the galaxy on our exterior. Carbon, aka melanin, and we could all, no matter where we hail from in the world, no matter what language we speak, no matter what we call ourselves, we can all trace our lineage back to the original point of origin for all of creation. So that's why I refer to our people as original people here on the Narrative Podcast. Another thing about my podcast, you should know this is a time-sensitive platform. I never try to exceed 1 hour when broadcasting. And the purpose of me doing that is so I can cover a whole lot of content in a short amount of time. And also, to keep it fresh, to keep it innovative, to keep my listeners enthralled and attentive to the knowledge that I'm sharing. So I don't want to lose anybody. I don't want to shoot over anybody's head. But I also don't want to dumb myself down. But I do want to make my the knowledge that I'm sharing practical, applicable, and accessible. And it can be none of those if I'm just talking in circles and boring you to sleep. So I just gotta hit my points and on to the next subject. Which brings me to the next point. This is a full episode of the Narrative Podcast, and my content is divided into sections. Each section has speaking points, and I try to time each section. And I already told you why I try to time each section, because of the time limit I set for myself, so that I'm not boring you to sleep and just just reaching and talking in circles and trying to make connections that's just not there. That's the quickest way to lose the audience. I want to keep you guys with me, keep you guys on the same page as me, and have that understanding and overstanding. Next point of order about the Narrative Podcast. This is a positive space. I don't do any mudslinging. I don't try to drag our brothers and sisters through the mud. I don't try to, I don't engage in gossip. I don't promote it. I really try to discourage against gossip. I think gossip is destroying our people. So, I don't, do the rumor thing on here. So if it isn't like confirmed, I don't talk about it. Now, what I do is I do what I do here is like I do speak about current events, current issues. I deliver commentary about whatever's happening in the world, whether it's globally, nationally, or just something specifically in our community. And if I bring up like a famous person's name, I'm not trying to, denigrate them or talk bad about them. I'm just illustrating the point. And the main point that I'm always trying to make here on this platform is, while we as a people, we do have, internal in-house issues that we need to work on as a people, I focus the lens on the why. Why is this person acting like this? Where is this behavior coming from? While we can't blame all our problems on systemic issues and, white America, we can blame a good 85% of it on that. But, definitely all about taking accountability and, living your own life and controlling your own destiny, but you can't turn a blind eye and a deaf ear for everything that's happened and is happening to our people. And, when people that have polarizing platforms in our community, when they do act out of character and, get caught being in rare form, that's usually whatever, the gossip is, the rumor is, that's usually what it's stemming from. It's stemming from, it's a bigger picture systemic issue, and they're using the media to, to inflate the problem. So I just want to put out there, like, if I ever bring up a famous person's name, I'm not clout chasing. I'm not trying to, jump on the bandwagon or kick them when they're down. I'm just, I'm telling it whatever is happening to them from our perspective. And as the old saying goes, if you don't tell your story will be told for you. And that's why, I do commentary anyway. I'm just telling our own story when I do it. I think I covered all my bases, brought you up to speed about all the nuances of the Narrative Podcast and, what you're going to be in store for today. If I missed anything, I'm like over 300 episodes. Whatever I missed, you can probably fill in the blanks by listening to a previously recorded episode of the Narrative Podcast. Speaking of previously recorded, download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrative Podcast, wherever you get your podcast information from. And then also, please like, comment, and share, because we already know about the algorithm, so you know why to do it. So just please do it to enhance the Narrative Podcast experience. So without any further ado, we're going to dive on into the first section of the Narrative Podcast. This section is called the highlight section. And in this section, what I'm doing is I'm highlighting original people that own and operate their own business. And the reason why I'm highlighting them, is because I'm staying true to my mission statement for this podcast, which is to share positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. And I feel the need to share positive frames of reference when it comes to entrepreneurialism, because we don't have a lot of frames of reference when it comes to our people owning their own brand or owning their own business. The very few frames of references that we have about entrepreneurs within our community come to us via scripted reality television. And on these scripted reality television shows, the producer's job is to make it so toxic and degenerate that for the ratings that you don't even focus on, the main plot of the show. And the main plot of the show is usually supposed to be, about a young brother or sister from our community that is earning 6 figures or better and taking care of many different families and having many different businesses. So to deter and deflect away from that, they play up drama. They catch us in rare form on camera, fighting each other, having relations on camera, doing drugs on camera, drunk on camera, stabbing each other in the back, gossiping, all the usual suspects that people flock to the TV to see. But here on the Narrative Podcast, I'm bypassing that by walking you through an entrepreneur's journey, all the nuances that come along with, being a business owner. I'm telling you, how they started their business, the concept, how they got their funds, why they got the business, and then also some qualifying factors for the business that I highlight for the highlight on the highlight section of the Narrative Podcast is, of course, they're original. They're original man, they're original woman owning their own business establishment. They're doing some type of community outreach or community activism, taking care of the community that their business is rooted in, such as hiring their own people, having some type of training program, some type of, community exchange, whether it's, paying into a nonprofit organization or having a nonprofit organization of their own, some type of incentive, some type of, community-based help. And then most of the people that I highlight on the highlight section, I'm giving you the example that they didn't have it all together, that they just stepped out on faith. A lot of them, don't have the traditional education. They didn't go to college. They didn't go to business school. They just had an idea in their head and fire in their belly, and they stepped out on faith and made it happen. Because, like I said, the media is very divisive. They're always trying to project the image of us unable to get off that hamster wheel, just in a, I guess it's called a continuing cycle, a downward spiral, just, never turning out good for ourselves, like we can't get out of the rat race. So, That's why I try to focus the highlight section on people that just are self-made. They figured it out on their own, trial and error type businesses. Many of them that I highlight are also family owned and operated. So in that instance, I would be giving you a positive frame of reference about generational wealth, because it's like one generation after, is going to take over, and it's going to be rooted in our community for many generations to come. So, there's that. My last qualifying factor for the businesses that I highlight on the highlight section of the Narrative Podcast, they usually align up with a season. I usually do the seasons like, summer, winter, fall, and spring. And, think of a business that you can associate with that season. So like something that people, partake in the winter, something that people partake in, like the first thing that comes to your mind when, it's summer, like, people, buy a lot of this in the summer, buy a lot of this in the spring, so on, so on, and so on. But lately I've been doing nationally observed holidays. So that's what I did this week, a national observed holiday. And so like today is March 2nd, and today is a nationally observed holiday. Ripley's Believe It or Not. It's on March 3rd, actually. But of course, I'm not going to be broadcasting tomorrow because I only do it on Saturdays, my full broadcast of the Narrative Podcast. But on March 3rd, on the calendar, it is National Cold Cut Day. So my thinking was, supply some businesses that specialize in cold cuts, like a deli or a sub shop or a hoagie, like just, that's all they sell is like cold cuts. But y'all, we as a people, we got a whole lot of food establishments, but we don't got a lot of places that sell just only cold cuts. We don't. It's like everything is like, deep fried oxtails or cheesesteak or po' boy or something hot, something that you got to bake or cook. I guess we don't really like cold cuts as a people because I didn't really see a whole lot of cold cut sandwich. Now, I'm plant-based for many years now. I myself don't indulge in, cold cuts, but I know many people that do. Because a lot of us grew up on cold cuts. Like, let's keep it real. A lot of us grew up on, them bologna sandwiches and them salami sandwiches with the little peppercorn and turkey and roast beef and all that. So let's not stunt and act like we didn't, but, our people do, consume a lot of cold cuts. So what I never do is, just because I don't condone something or I can't use it, I won't just not share the information. But, that's what I'll be highlighting today on a highlight section of the Narrative Podcast, is businesses that specialize in the selling of cold cuts. Now, so like I said, I couldn't find a lot of businesses that specialize in just cold cuts. You would think, especially in places like, New York and D.C., because, New York, their Subway sandwich capital of the world, and D.C. is like, the hoagie capital. But surprisingly, not too many of establishments owned and operated by us sell only cold cuts, but I did find one. So I only got one, and if you listen to my podcast on a regular basis, you know I usually have like 3 to 4, but this week I only got one because I only found one. But anyway, so for my first and only business on the highlight section that I will be highlighting today is a business called Sammy's Avenue Eatery. It was established in 2022 by a brother named Sammy McDowell, and you can go to the website at sammysavenueeatery.com, and there's no apostrophe after the Y, so it's Sammy's, so no apostrophe. It's just, and it's not, plural, IES. It's like SAMMYS Avenue Eatery.com. That's how it's spelled. I spelled it out because I don't want you to go to a different one. And the telephone number is 612-767-6278, and it's a food truck. It's located in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He's got plans to do a brick and mortar coming soon. A food hall, actually. He's got some plans to develop a food hall, so that's coming probably like sometime later this year, probably like late summer, early fall. His food truck is located on 101 West Broadway Avenue, Minneapolis, Minnesota, 55411. Hours of operation, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., closed on Sunday. And yes, he does specialize in cold cuts, but he also, of course, if he's open on that early, he got breakfast sandwiches. So the only difference, what makes it the breakfast sandwich is like, it's cold cuts. It's like club sandwiches. So he still uses the cold cuts, but like bacon and egg, any style of egg you want on top of the cold cut, and like bacon if you want bacon, or like if you're feeling really adventurous, a sausage patty. I definitely don't eat that swine, but like I said, no judgment. I ain't condemning my people that do. But that's Sammy's Avenue Eatery in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So his story, basically he pulled a Kanye West. He attended MCTC University for business management, and he dropped out after 2 weeks and decided to open up his own business. So he's originally from Chicago, Illinois, and he got the love of cooking from his grandmother. She instilled cooking in him, so he cooked at a very young age. They moved to Minnesota at 5, so that's when he fell in love with cooking. His grandmother taught him how to cook, and his favorite pastime became cooking meals for her. She also was a member of a big AME church in Chicago, and he basically would cook for the congregation, like the dinners, the big giant dinners, like when they would like fellowship with other churches. Also, that church, through block parties, and he wanted to, I guess, you know, he felt like food brings people together, and he grew up where food played an instrumental role in bringing people together, and he wanted to create that same environment in the neighborhood that he was living in Minneapolis. So everybody locally that knows of him knows he's like a neighborhood philanthropist. He's always giving back. He gives away more of his product than he actually sells. Like, he feeds hungry people within the community, provides people jobs. And that's, you know, he's quoted is saying, you know, it's all about the community. We're all one big family in the grand scheme of things. And so, like, he wants to try to help people and give back as much as possible, whatever resources he has available. Right now, he's also partnered with former NBA player Devin George. He got, in addition to running his own business, he's been, you know, so he's been doing business with former NBA player Devin George. Used to play for the Lakers and the Dallas Mavericks, and I'm thinking he was on the Golden State Warriors towards the end of his career. Not sure. Yeah, he played his final year in the NBA. He played with the Golden State Warriors. So he started out on the Lakers, then went to the Mavericks, and then went to Golden State. And then, so he's doing real estate now. But he's also opening up, you know, his own dining hall. And he was impressed by the work Sammy McDowell's doing, and he paid him to be a consultant for the new food hall that he's building. And then in addition to that, he promoted him to the CEO of his construction company that he has. And the name of his construction company is called, oh, my bad, pardon me, I'm saying construction. It's a real estate firm. He got his own real estate firm. It's called George North Group. So he, you know, gave him, Sammy McDowell, a position at his real estate firm. And his real estate firm, Devin George's real estate firm, they have an initiative to, you know, develop all the communities in our community and build them up. And then also they got the special programs and vocational skills training programs for the people in those neighborhoods that they are currently, you know, renovating for our people. So it's like a double win. So he's giving back with his own eatery business, and then he's also, you know, working with Devin George to provide opportunities for our people. So, with that having been said, let's give a warm Narrative Podcast round of applause to our brother, Sammy McDowell and Sammy's Avenue Eatery in Minneapolis, Minnesota. All right, moving right along. Next section of the Narrative Podcast, is the spotlight section. And in this section, what I'm doing is I'm spotlighting prominent figures within our own community, a brother or sister doing something positive that propels our culture forward or impacts our community, speaking unapologetically on our issues and having solution-based answers to the problems that face us as a people. In the past, I've spotlighted, mostly people in the entertainment industry, recording artists, athletes, comedians, YouTubers, TikTokers, social media influencers, religious figures, pretty much anybody in the eye of in the public with a polarizing platform. As of late, I've moved away from that, and my reasoning behind that is because I don't want to, push the negative stereotype about all our people know how to do is entertain. But anyway, the spotlight section is basically all heroes don't wear capes section, and just basically giving a person, an individual, their just dues for doing the work, being in the soil, doing the work. And not for nothing, I created the wave for Spotlight. Because before I added the Spotlight section to my podcast, the Narrative podcast, nobody was spotlighting anybody. But now, everybody's all of a sudden spotlighting. So I'm not mad at it at all, because like I said, that's what the entire spotlight section is about. What the entire podcast is about is, destroying negative stereotypes and stigmas and tropes about our people and our culture. And the biggest stereotype about our people is that we don't know how to unify. We don't know how to show each other love, give each other genuine compliments, celebrate each other's successes, that we're just like naturally jealous-hearted, because all that the media shows is our people taking jabs at each other online and going back and forth in the comment section, dragging each other through the mud, airing out dirty laundry. Originally, I had more than one episode where I took the bait and was saying like our people is the only ones to do that, engage in messiness online and act uncivilized online and just air out dirty laundry, but that's not it. It's just the media, they push that false image, that false narrative that, that we're the only people to do it. It's just more profitable when we do it, because we just generate more news. We upset the algorithm when we're fighting amongst each other. They can just like really milk it for all it's worth. So many media platforms financially benefit from us taking cheap shots at each other online. But like I said, that's the whole reason why I created the Spotlight section, is to show like you can make money online being positive. You don't have to resort to the messiness and name calling and acting nasty to one another. That's what they're trying to, promote and propagate, that, you're not going to, your project, whatever you're working on, it's not going to get any traction unless there's some type of drama behind it. But, like I said, I must be making waves in the universe because so many people are highlighting things now. And I'm not mad at it, but because that's, my original purpose is to create the trend to share positive content and have everybody that listens to my platform share positive content as well when it comes to our people and our culture. Not just all the time sharing messiness. So many people are sharing positive content now. It makes me feel good that I kind of started that way. The proof's in the pudding. They don't have to, directly reference me or my podcast. They leave a big trail of breadcrumbs a mile long, all the people that listen to my show, because I'm highly referenced in a whole lot of people's content, like in a dry way. They're not just coming out saying, oh, I mess with, Halsey and the Narrator podcast, and that's all right for whatever reason. They don't just be like, acknowledge it, but I know it, they know it. And it's all good. And like if I was just here only for the money and the recognition, I would have been stopped a long time ago. Because this podcasting stuff is just not highly profitable. But I'm here with, a righteous message, and it's getting, matriculated all throughout the internet, all the different spheres, the manosphere, the this sphere, the that sphere. All my, you can just tell and know all the people that, listen to my podcast, because they say everything I say. They use all the same nuances I use, how I say certain words, what I say, when I broadcast. It's not a coincidence. It's all good. They keep on giving me a little wink, wink, and I'm winking right back. Let you know I started the spotlight section. So yeah, I gotta just pop my collar on that.
You are now listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
In a real way. So, without any further ado, today's spotlight section on the Narrative Podcast goes to a brother by the name of Derek Covington. And he's got an unusual original name. I've never seen the spelling like that. It's like QU hyphen Derek Covington. He's a Howard University faculty member, and he's getting the spotlight because he created a program, a nonprofit initiative for our young brothers. Oh, I forgot to tell one other thing about the Narrative Podcast. I switch genders every week. So last week, I spotlighted a female. This week, I'm spotlighting a male to keep everything balanced. It feels really good when I spotlight males. However, because it's just like, our sister, they got all kind of movements. They got Black Girl Magic and Girls Rock. we kind of don't really got any movements for our young men, and then wonder why most of our young men end up in the penitentiary or on the corner. We don't have anything to promote positive self-images for them. But this brother is, created a program where he's, promoting positive self-images for young men between the ages of 18 to 24. He said he got inspired by his first mentor, a professor at, Howard University. He looked at that brother and wanted to kind of tailor himself after him. He wanted to show in that moment, I guess it's called, he had a thunder moment, like the thunderbolt went off, found his calling. I got to show, our young brothers like what success looks like, some positive images of our people, of our, masculine men within our community, professionals handling their business, networking with each other, and building and creating institutions, and staying independent. So that's when he decided to create a nonprofit organization called the Tulsa Initiative, and of course, it was named after, Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma. So to find out more about it, what they offer, what they're teaching, go to Tulsa nonprofit.org, and then their mission statement, they teach a 10-week curriculum called Tulsa Leadership Program. And what that is, he's teaching young men between the ages of 18 to 24 the basics about being an entrepreneur, teaching them things like mentoring, teamwork exercises, how to build unity, how to effectively brainstorm, creatively problem solve. They're also teaching Black history. Spoiler alert, my next section is my Black history facts. A little later on, it's not the next section after this, but I got some Black history facts for you today. But anyway, so he's like using Black history to, showcase and embed them with positive images of, entrepreneurs from our community that came from nothing and ended up taking care of, a whole community with their product, whatever they, invented or designed, or, whatever business they built. Kind of like what I do here on the Narrative Podcast. Also teaching them, some more nuances about running your own business, such as, funding, how to acquire funding, how to meet deadlines, branding, networking, and sales pitches, elevator speeches, all the nuances that come with being a business owner. Really great curriculum. So he thought about it for a couple years. He didn't just do it out of thin air. He actually took the time, did research, found out, what type of things impact us the most. What, he did statistical research on, what usually leads our young men down a wrong path, and came up with solution-based answers to solve that, and, did some cold calling, getting a roster of, people to be mentors. Oh, that's another thing I left out in the notes. He also provides mentoring and tutoring. But yeah, like I said, the program is just about, giving them the introductory course on, how to be a successful entrepreneur. And then also to carry and conduct themselves with dignity, decorum, and move and navigate through life with a sense of urgency. So, that's really a good skill to have, and you got to do it. You got to touch their hearts at an early age and plant the seeds of life rather than the seeds of destruction, because they are our future. They out, our time is limited. Us older people, we're going to be with the ancestors in a minute. But before we get up out of here, we got to make sure the babies are straight, man. We got to make sure the younger generation is straight, that they get the message, that they just, we got to break that generational curse of, in the family functions, like that's all you hear, like most males within our community, they just talking about old stories about, what penal facility that they did a bid in, and hitting jukes and scams on the corner, and we got to break that cycle. But this brother with that program is breaking that cycle, so let's clap it up. Give Q Derek Covington and the Tulsa Initiative a warm narrative podcast round of applause. One more thing, he started in 2018. All right. Next section here on the Narrative Podcast is called the Health and Wellness section. In this section, it's self-explanatory. It is just what it sounds like. I'm giving health and wellness tips. Why am I giving health and wellness tips? This is going to sound kind of messed up. I'm giving health and wellness tips because our people are sick. Like, we're a sick people on so many levels. We're sick mentally, we're sick spiritually, we're sick physically, and we're definitely sick financially. Now, I don't give financial advice in this section because I believe health is wealth. But I give tips about, things that plague our people mentally, physically, and spiritually. And then I just want to make a small disclaimer. Now, the Narrative Podcast, my content on here is for anybody to listen to. Like, whatever background you come from, whether you're Caucasian, whether you're Asian, Irish, whatever, you're more than free to listen to and absorb the knowledge that I'm sharing here on the Narrative Podcast. But first and foremost, my content, my target listening audience, my niche is my people, original people, especially here in the health and wellness section. Because why am I so serious about that? Is because our people, original people, we're being hunted, and they're trying to unalive us physically, mentally, and spiritually. On the physical side, they're putting things in our food, air, and water that harm and are dangerous to our unique physiology, harmful and dangerous to our mental psyches, harmful and dangerous to our spirituality. And it's intentionally done. This isn't, this isn't an accident. We're getting attacked mentally, physically, and spiritually by the powers that be. Yes, we are engaged in psychological warfare, biological warfare, and spiritual warfare. It's war. They have declared war on my people. And so the purpose of the health and wellness section here on the Narrative Podcast is for my people, giving tips to my people on how to armor up in all the areas that we're being attacked. And another disclaimer, like I said, is this content's for anybody to listen to, but where, a misconception, especially in religious circles, it's believed that we're just all one people, we're all connected, we're all God's creatures, or we're all connected to the source, or we're all different, we're all culturally different. So in one person's culture, which things within their culture that would give them life and help sustain life for them would not be true in someone else's culture and help sustain life from them. So within my culture, the sun revitalizes and energizes and nourishes our people. In another culture, the sun makes people sick. It makes their skin flake. They develop cancer. So we're not the same. We're not the same. On the mental side of it, we all got different cultural, emotional triggers. Like within my culture, certain things we find offensive and will trigger us in a negative way mentally, will trip our emotional trigger, as in another culture, in another culture, they find certain things offensive and will trip their emotional triggers. On the spiritual side of it, I can't pray to your God. I can't believe in your spirituality and expect, for my life to be livable. And then you can't pray to my God or believe in my spiritual, or think you can use my spiritual practices to elevate your life. And that's just what it is. We got to acknowledge the differences, respect the differences. That's all. This isn't about being superior to anyone. This is just about acknowledging the differences. So the types of tips I give here on the health and wellness section in the Narrative Podcast, on the physical side of it, I usually give you the health benefits of, fruit, vegetable, plant, herb, extract, elixir that you can ingest or apply topically to improve your overall health, or some type of physical exercise that you can perform to, sustain your life. On the mental side of it, like I said, we all have different mental, cultural, mental, triggers. So, I'm basically giving you mental health tips on the mental side of it. How to keep your mind strong. Because, diet does play a big role in your overall health, diet and exercise, but what trumps diet and exercise is your mental health. It all starts, everything culminates in your mind. Everything culminates in your mind. And when your mind's not operating efficiently, that's when the body gets out of gets out of whack, and you start becoming sick, and you start getting ill. This is why they call illnesses dis-ease. When your mind is at dis-ease, that's when illness sets in. So you have to be in good mental health also, not just, dietetic. You have to be on guard, on your post. Your post is in your mind. Your mind is the control center to everything in the body. And then also spiritual practices, because like I said, it's spiritual warfare. So there's some things you can do spiritually to guard your spirits. To recognize, number one, first and foremost, recognize when you're being spiritually attacked. So I give you tips on how to be spiritually attuned. So now that you know what the Narrator Podcast Health and Wellness section is about, let us adjourn to the health tip of the day. And today's health tip of the day is a physical health tip. I will be speaking to you about the health benefits of consuming beetroot, or just beets for short. So obviously it is a root vegetable. It's nutrient dense, low in calories. It contains nearly every vitamin that the body needs to operate efficiently. Packed full of folates, and folates regulates heart health, so it's good for your heart. It helps also lower and regulates high blood pressure. Lowers and regulates blood pressure, has high concentrates of through nitrates. Now, I know what you think nitrates like. Well, don't hot dogs got nitrates? Well, it's good and bad and everything. There's, the good nitrates that help your body, and then there's the bad nitrates that destroy your body. You got good cholesterol, you got bad cholesterol, you got, good mold and then bad mold. But you got things like, I don't know how to explain it, but these nitrates help your body control and regulate your blood pressure. So they're dietary nitrates. So the dietary nitrates, the body converts into nitrous oxide, which oxidizes your cells. So like it basically like helps your blood breathe. It also enhances your endurance and stamina. It improves your cardio, respiratory system, like your lung capacity. It's also anti-inflammatory. So, like Dr. Sebi taught us, inflammation is one of the root causes of illnesses in the body. When a body part is, inflamed anywhere, it's usually going to become a terminal illness if the inflammation isn't reversed. So you always want to consume foods rich in antioxidant properties so you can get rid of that inflammation. It aids in digestion and gut health. There's another reason why people get sick because, they got all that solid waste and bile caked up in their stomach, blocking everything and causing their stomach to bloat and, all that fecal matter coming out of their pores and every other orifices of the body. So you have to have regular bowel movements. And it also promotes healthy brain functions. And it does that by dilation of the blood vessels inside the brain. So like it expands your blood vessels in your brain. So with the expansion, with the widening of the super information highway, so there, when the blood vessels inside your brain expand, information travels more rapidly. Your cognitive skills increase, your memory, short and long term, and other, brain functions. And so you'll be less susceptible for brain fog and memory lapses and Alzheimer and dementia. And it also possesses anti-cancerous properties and increases your metabolic intake, which means it makes your energy grow, it energizes you. And it energizes you because it's low in cholesterol, lacks in cholesterol and calories. It makes up for in hydration. So it's a hydrating veggie. So it hydrates your cells. And last thing, it's a cheap, sustainable food source. It lasts for a really long time without going bad. And you can plant it. It's easy to plant indoors. You don't necessarily have to own a home to grow some beets. Now, on the downside of it, beets I don't care, they're nasty. But if you can drink some alcohol, you can eat a beet. Juicing it, sauteing it, broiling it, grilling it, it's icky. There's nothing good about a beet. Let's just keep it a bean. Beets are yucky, but you gotta just thug it out, eat your beets, and get all those vital nutrients that the body needs. All right, that'll do it for the Black History Fact or health and wellness tip this week on the Narrative Podcast. And now, 2 Black History Facts. And the first Black History Fact, life and times of a brother named Nat Love, aka Deadwood Dick. Get it out of the gutter. He was one of the greatest cowboys that ever lived. He was born in 1854, died in 1921. Another fun fact, cowboy was originally a derogatory term intended to demean original people on cattle ranches. They would call him, boy. They had a bad habit of that in the South, calling a grown man a boy, and that's essentially where that term came from. Like, hey, cowboy, like, boy, go get the cows, herd the cows, and do whatever miscellaneous task was associated with the handling of cows. So his legacy spread all throughout the South. He was involved in he was a gunslinger, one of the fastest draws in the West. He wrote his own autobiography about his own life and times called The Life and Adventures of Nat Love. He toured all throughout the West. He was one of the biggest folk heroes, in all Texas. Bigger than Paul Bunyan, bigger than Pecos Bill, bigger than all those guys. As a matter of fact, a whole lot of, people like Wyatt Earp and Jesse James and all those guys, they tailored their persona after him. They was trying to be him, because he was one of the fastest draws in the West. So, they basically was trying to emulate him, trying to emulate his persona, all these, Wild West guys Jesse James and the Earps, Wyatt Earp and all that. They was trying to be like him. So make some noise for our brother. It's not a lot on him because, history, try to omit him from the history books. And the few people that do know about his life and legacy, the historians, they try to downplay it. You know how they do, try to well, it wasn't confirmed. It was just mostly folklore, so there's no substantial evidence that he did this and he did. I'm sorry, that's just how they sound in my head, but you know what I'm saying. You know how them damn folks do. But anyway, yep, that was the first one, the life and legacy of Nat Love, Deadwood Dick. Next, life and times of Bass Reeves. Bass Reeves served as the inspiration from the fictional character, the Lone Ranger. His backstory was right out of Bass Reeves' life. Bass Reeves was born in 1838. He died in 1910. He was a gunslinger, a farmer, a scout, and a tracker, and a deputy. He also spoke Cherokee and Crook. He had over 3,000 arrests as a lawman. So, his legacy, his story, I guess, started he accidentally killed somebody, and he had to flee to, as they say on the Old West. So my Native Americans don't get offended when I'm about to say this. He had to flee to Indian country. But like I said at the beginning of the podcast, we're the original people anyway. So, just half of us was on the plains too. Like a lot of us was on those reservations. They didn't get all of us in slavery. Majority of us, that was already here, they corralled and got on the plantations, but, we was the original, Native American, just Caucasian coined that phrase. But, Caucasian people, they kind of just blindsided us again, not giving us credit for already being here. But I didn't mean to go on that side tangent. I had to let you know, you could probably speak it so well because it wasn't far from who he was, being an original man. So he was a real fast gunslinger too. That's where they got that, his machismo to, create the fictional character, the Lone Ranger. He accidentally killed somebody and had to hide on a Native American reservation. The word was escaping me, but he had basically had to, after he killed somebody, unalive somebody, he had to go hide on a reservation, and it was eventually, when they finally caught up to him, it was overturned, found out it was just an accident. Who went on to become a lawman. Another fun fact about him, he started the trend for, cowboys carrying 2 pistols. He was the first one to do that. He had 2 pistols. The rest of them, it was a thing with just only one. He was the first one to have 2 6-shooters. He created the trend for that, to have 2 6-shooters. So, speaking point of the day, usually my speaking point of the day is where I'm addressing current events, current news, things in our community I feel need to be addressed, things happening around the world, globally, or right here in the United States, nationally. So, but today I really got nothing, and on them days when I don't have anything to, deliver commentary on, what I do is just kind of reflect, give a broad, general reflection on us as a people. And today's general, broad reflection in the speaking point section on the Narrator podcast is something we need to stop doing as a people. And by we, I mean me too. You see, I don't never just do the finger pointing without including myself, because I play a big factor in this. I do it too. A a lot of the times I'm really talking to me. Sometimes I be the biggest offender when I share little nuggets like this. So a lot of times it's an out loud thought. But we, as a people, what we should stop doing, or what we need to stop doing, is volunteering. And I don't mean volunteering as in like doing for the community, giving back, helping someone. We need to quit volunteering for titles. They come up with titles for us and we just accept it. What do I mean by like anytime, like medically, when a new disease comes out or a new virus comes out or anything health related comes out, who is always number one in this statistical research? It's us. And it's usually brothers. They'll come up with this data and be like, you know, black men between the ages of 18 to 25 is the number one most likely to come down with colon cancer, or, you know, most likely to be susceptible to high blood pressure or whatever. When they do these stats is numbers. There's an old saying, I believe Jay-Z said it, men lie, women lie, but the numbers don't. But the numbers do lie. Statistics is an estimated number. It's not an exact. If you really want to keep it a being mathematics, there are no exacts in mathematics. All mathematics are estimated. There's no exact. But more to the point is like we volunteer for whatever is placed over us. They say we're going to be unalived or in jail by a certain age. Black male life expectancy in the early 90s, from 1990 all the way up into 94, you know what black male life expectancy was? 23. That's why when Pac came out with the album Me Against the World, he had a bar in there on one of his songs. I believe it was Death Around the Corner. He says, I wonder will I make it, will I survive to see 23? Because that at the time was black male life expectancy. Because the powers that be told us, you know, we're probably only going to live at the rate we're going, unaliving each other, and, you know, urban decay, other things that's happening to us, health, you know, things, health-wise is happening to us. We're not going to make it to see 23. And when you go back, when they came out with them statistics, how many, what was the unalive toll? What was the death toll of us being unalive and just ceasing to exist? Because they said so. That's the power of words. We got to quit letting people sit up there and tell us stuff when it comes to our people. When we got knowledge and we know, they're telling us things they think. We know we kings and queens. We know we gods and goddesses. We know we can't be unalive. We are immortal. We are living energy. We are living energy. We never stop. We might shed out of this physical shell, but the spirits of our ancestors is all around us. And only a select few people of us amongst us know this. So, said all that to say, we got to quit letting people tell us stuff and dictate things to us, and quit volunteering to accept all these problems that they shove on us and say, here you go, this is for you. You're not going to live past this age. You're not going to have this. You're not going to be in a happy relationship. You're never going to have, a job that you're happy with, or own your own business. You're not going to be a good husband to your wife and wife to your husband. And then they put, the negative stereotypes on sisters. Oh, you're angry. You're angry. You're angry. You're bitter. You hate men. So that's why we have to stop volunteering, because the people coming up with all this stuff are the people that don't want to see us thrive, don't want to see us, live a prosperous life, an abundant life. So they come up with things to shorten our lifespan, come up with things to, infringe on our happiness and our joy and our peace of mind and tranquility. So as a people, what we need to stop volunteering for other people's problems. And that's my speaking point of the day. Now, last section here on the Narrative Podcast is the final word. The final word section is just a philosophical thought section, deep, meaningful, just something to have you ponder the possibilities, just think, something that encourages critical thinking, just marinate, I usually knock it out the ballpark, but if it don't apply, let it fly, because the message ain't for you, but the message is for somebody. And the final word of the day here on the Narrative Podcast, well, sometimes it's final thought and final word. It varies from week to week. The reason why is like when the final word isn't just I like how it sounds, it's just a word, a single word. And then the final thought is usually a phrase or a saying. But this week is the final word of the day. So, without any further ado, the final word of today. Here on the Narrative Podcast, well, I guess it's a final thought. Well, we're going to say final thought / final word. It's both of them this week. So the final word is love. The final thought is love is unconditional. Like real love don't have any conditions on it. It doesn't have any limitations. Love is love. Love is genuine. And love is all you ever really need. And it's real easy to recognize when you're being loved and when somebody's trying to love you. And love really does conquer all. When people are being mean to you or, taking shots at you, it's usually because they don't love themselves. And they don't like something about you. They can have like $1 million, have a, 4 or 5 car garage, private helicopter on the roof, go around the world 80, 90 times, waking up in different time zones, but got time enough to dislike you because they don't like your happiness. They don't like your light that you're emitting. They don't like that love because they don't feel love in their life. And they feel it and they see it vibrating off of you. But love does conquer all. And something about you forces them to look at themselves because they don't like something about themselves. So they go out of their way to infringe, try to siphon off your love energy because they need it. They want it. They don't know how to ask for it. But what you got to do is you got to keep on showing love. And the best way to show love is to love yourself. As long as you love yourself, you know, you're going to rub off on people. You're going to unharden hard hearts. You're going to thaw out that ice in them cold rooms. And so you just got to navigate, maneuver in a world full of hatred with love. And that's my final word of the day. Love, y'all. Check me out this week, family, with another all-new episode of the Narrator Podcast, wherever you get your podcast information from. Download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrative Podcast. Like, share, download, comment, all that. Definitely download. Keep in mind I broadcast 2 times during the week. Once during the weekday and once on the weekend. So check me out wherever you get your podcast information from. My weekday ones are super random. I never know what days I'm going to have available during the weekday to upload an episode of the Narrator Podcast. But the surest way to not miss me when I'm doing a weekday episode is to follow me on YouTube. And my YouTube channel is Halsey Allen. And you subscribe to my YouTube channel or go to my Twitter channel, also Halsey Allen. And the reason why is because this podcast broadcast to both of those simultaneously after I finish uploading. So you'll always be notified when I'm uploading during the weekday or any day on YouTube or X, formerly known as Twitter. So any two of those platforms, make sure you follow me on there, and you'll always get the latest edition of the Narrative Podcast in a timely manner. Next order of business is I have written a book of poetry called The Black Card. The Black Card is available on poetizer.com. Poetizer.com has their own virtual online bookstore. The name of my book is called, I already said the name, The Black Card. The Black Card is a 30-page book of poetry. It chronicles and encompasses every aspect of us as a people and a culture. It's just basically a snapshot of our people, creatively captured by yours truly. All the positive and negative nuances within our culture. It'll make a good coffee table read, excellent travel book, a good gift. Basically, it's a survival guide. So go get your copy today, the Black Card. If you don't get your black card today, you'll get it revoked. Next is I have a poetry blog called Halsey's Poetry Corner, available on blogger.com. And what that is a collection of poems that I write instantaneously, spontaneously in the moment. And the poems are so creative and witty. You would think that I premeditated what I'm going to write, but it's just completely kinetic, completely natural, completely off the cuff. Yeah, it's on blogger.com at www.mrhalziesblogs.com. And so like I said, they're really intricate, really creative, and again, they're spontaneously written in the moment. I don't contemplate the title or the content, what I'm writing about. They just come to me. My bio says I don't write my poetry. My poetry writes themselves. God beams it into my head. So, you know, my poetry is definitely indicative of that. So do yourself a huge favor. Go check them out. Go check out Hallzies Poetry Corner at www.mrhalziesblog.com on blogger.com. And how you support that platform is by sharing the link to Hallzies Poetry Corner or a poem featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner across all platforms. You know, for the, ones like YouTube and TikTok, you might actually have to shout out Hallzies Poetry Corner or a poem featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner. But whatever you do, share them back online, the link or a poem featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner. The tagline for that is Hallzies Poetry Corner, poetry with a passion, poetry for all occasions. So that's it and that's all. Thank you guys for listening. Join me next week for another full episode of the Narrator Podcast, and possibly, a weekday edition. I don't know. So you will know when I know. When this is uploaded, you got to just stay tuned and keep your ears to the poetry or podcast streaks to see when I'm upload during the weekday. But download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrative Podcast wherever you get your podcast information from. I'm Halsey Allen, and this is I'm Halsey Allen. I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time. I'm asking you to join me in my quest by becoming a narrator. And while I'm changing the narrative on the Narrative Podcast, one episode at a time, as a narrator, you can change the narrative on your end, one social media post at a time. Until next time, Halsey Allen, the Narrative Podcast, signing off, and it's like that.
Listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.